Listen guys, I know this has pretty much been a game-focused channel, but I'm sorry guys, I just haven't been feeling gaming much recently. I'll probably have to sit down and play some older stuff I used to enjoy sometime. I've got stuff on discs, so it should be fine. Anyway, as you know, the vast majority of what I do nowadays is watch and study music videos. In 1993, Swervedriver released one. This was during the golden age of music videos, as after the 90s, record sales would slowly drop by about 80%, forcing labels to cut budgets and merge. But first things first, Duel is an amazing song. If this released today, it would likely still do good, maybe even better than originally, fitting into the whole grunge gaze revival subgenre that's been popular as of late. But that's only part of why we're here. The music video is what I'm really after. Shot with actually somewhat of a budget. The whole thing is full of weird morph lenses and very 90s blur filters, not to mention chaotically spinning crane and non-crane shots. The video is also featured on the racing game Road Rash. In fact, let me just... There it is! If you get lucky, I'll do a video about this game if someone doesn't beat me to it, unlike Test Drive Le Mans or Ross Scott's Game Dungeon or something. Anyway, if we disregard the version on Road Rash with all its purple hues and bikes racing past LA's skyscrapers, we get, in my opinion, a fantastic and well-fitting video. No small part of this trippy video is the locations. Now at first glance it may seem quite simple. The first 3.5 minutes are all shot on this patch of grass. Pretty much just the sky between it and Swervedriver. No distinguishing features at all. Now, most likely this was shot on a soundstage, and they did a rather convincing job with visualizing natural sunlight. Well, I say they. I've checked, but there is really an odd lack of information about this video. The most interesting thing I can tell you is that they apparently had a food truck, to the point where some TikTok scrams resurgence think from an obscure 200-copy mini DV demo in a shed's basement would have more info. Which is a little ironic considering Swervedriver did themselves record another video for Duel, snowboarding down Mount Hood with some pretty degraded looking footage and one too many twists of the hue knob. It's cool though. The final minute and a half of the major label-backed Duel video is a little bizarre. You get these shots mixed in with a city skyline of corporate buildings overlooking them. Now, basically every source that does exist will tell you it was shot in downtown LA, and at first I went scouring the business district with Google Earth, trying to base my search off these two skyscrapers. I looked around for a while, but I just couldn't seem to find it, partly because I'm lazy, but partly because, well, there's a complete lack of information. In fact, not only is information on this video basically absent, the high quality footage is too, as the one that's on the internet is either from Road Rash with intercut promotional footage, or an almost complete version from compilation tape called Rock Video Monthly from January 1994, which I did consider buying to rescue the footage. However, VHS video sources typically only provide 480p, which is the version that's already up. I'm assuming they shot it on film, as digital cameras were only getting started in the pro industry at this point. That film would then have to be stored on a physical copy. So really, the only viable option for a high quality version of the master tapes to see the light of day would be to either contact the video's director to see if they're sitting in his loft somewhere. However, the problem is once again that basically nobody knows who directed this video, there's no reliable source online, Creation Records shut down in 2000, and as much as I'd like to email Alan McGee or Adam Franklin, it took him about 2 years to respond to Rick Beato, who only has a small amount more fame than me. I did it from the band's website anyway though, and got no reply. The other option would be trying to contact A&M Records to inquire about getting a copy for archival purposes somehow. However, in 1999, 1 year after Swervedriver broke up,
they're not going to forget about us and we're not going to be like a tax loss to A&M Records. I mean, I'm glad we didn't, say for instance, sign to Geffen.
A&M, Geffen Records and Interscope Records all merged into one company under Universal Music Group, who just last year sued the Internet Archive, a non-profit organization, for copyright infringement. Well shit man, is it really such a crime to want to see Adam Franklin's Fender Jazzmaster in real life GM Big City in HD? Cyberpunk seems like it was more right every day. In fact, maybe Road Rash was right. Media is so frustratingly fascinating. The fact that there was a time where a record label was willing to shell out thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars to make a 4-minute clip of a band that was only half on a major and no top 50 hit. And the only way you could watch it was pretty much by mail or catching MTV at just the right time. If you missed it, well, too bad. I mean, companies do still take chances from smaller players nowadays, just in different spheres like movies or game development and such. But obviously now with all the advancements in tech, stuff is much better preserved. It just seems insane that the only way to see this music video is some obscure 90s VHS tape, while the proper media is just sitting somewhere in a vault, with the status of its owning companies being questionable. If it wasn't for that monthly video subscription that someone happened to have a physical copy of, this video would be as good as lost media, despite not only being Swervedriver's biggest hit, but also all the effort that went into it. It all makes you consider how easily lost media can be created, and art can be effectively locked off, even though it still likely exists somewhere in some big company HQ. Knowing YouTube, they could probably strike what we do have if they wanted to, if they thought it was losing them money. That's why they sue the Internet Archive, or why Fender sues small guitar makers. Companies just love complaining about piracy, but tell me, what's the alternative if we aren't provided a legitimate way to see these things? As a matter of fact, this is not the only Swervedriver music video that's in danger of being extinct. Another example is the song Son of Mustang Ford, the band's first single. According to Adam, the song is about getting in your car and driving all over America. This wasn't the only song that associated with cars though, so the automotive subject matter of the band would earn them a reputation of being sort of like England's equivalent of Detroit's Motown bands. Knowing the Duel video was filmed in Los Angeles, you could say they took a journey all the way from a figurative Detroit to LA. The music videos are a sort of marking point for the band's journey. Music videos are just the tip of the iceberg. In the grand scheme of things, a couple minutes of footage being lost wouldn't be so bad. But what if it was something larger? In 2014, 21 years after Duel, Ubisoft released The Crew, a big-budget racing game. If this game released today, it would likely still do good, fitting into that whole huge open-world racer subgenre that's been popular as of late. The cool thing about the original Crew is that it has modeled the entire United States, or at least a scaled down version of it. Anywhere you go, the developers have put some kind of detail in, and over the course of the game you get to explore a ton of it. From the game's start set in Detroit to the final mission taking place in LA, it's like one big giant road trip. You can just get in a car and start driving all over America. Ubisoft's Ivory Tower did a good job. If you're a gamer, you'll probably remember the trailers for this being epic too. Speaking of which, much of the promotional material about this game focused on its online. Indeed, to play the game you need an internet connection. Well, that's no problem, most people have a connection in their homes nowadays, right? Just as long as there's a connection to the game's servers. In 2024, Ubisoft shut down the Crew's servers. Because of the always online nature of the game, it was rendered completely unplayable to all its 12 million copies. This wasn't something you can just watch like a music video. This is not only the hard work and art of many, but it's also something people actually paid for, and it was just getting removed from their libraries, even if they owned a physical copy. So essentially, the only way you could have played The Crew, this game with millions of dollars poured into it, was catching it at just the right time. If you missed it, well, too bad. Almost immediately, there was a huge backlash as well as the creation of the Stop Killing Games movement by Ross Scott. It turns out people did care about this piece of media. After all, it only sold 12 million copies. Is it really unreasonable to expect it to still be playable after 10 years? You've probably heard this story before, so I won't rehash it too much, but the point is that The Crew is sort of a lucky example. If this hadn't been as popular as it was, would there have even been a backlash? Because it could just as easily be something less widely known. If you take a look at Ubisoft's share price, it's taken a near 80% drop since 2024. a portion of which was likely influenced by the extreme public scrutiny after the Crew backlash. I guess Ubisoft sitting in their ivory tower completely disconnected from their obvious problems wasn't the way forwards after all. So dear companies, consider caring about media preservation, or more accurately, giving just a little consideration to the people who are supporting you. It might just keep you from going under one day. Don't be evil.